So let's go one by one, guys. I think yesterday we have not studied the comparison between different experimental methods. Okay, let us now briefly discuss it. Okay, first one is fluid saturation buoyancy method. Okay, helium porosity meter, mercury porosity meter. Okay, rock density, fluid summation, and the last one is pyknometer. 1, 2. Okay, guys, try to give your answer to the best of your knowledge. Okay, the first and most important question: which particular method gives the maximum porosity for the same core sample? For a particular core sample, which particular method will give the maximum porosity? Think properly. Listen to the question properly, guys. Which particular method will give the maximum porosity for the same core sample? Maximum porosity. I didn't talk about which type of porosity. I told maximum porosity. Generally, the total porosity is greater than or equal to the effective porosity. Okay, and in majority of cases it is greater than only. Okay, if you take any particular core sample, the maximum porosity will be the total porosity. The rod density method will measure the total porosity. It is the only method which measures the total porosity. So the answer will be 5. Okay. Next one, which gives the most accurate effective porosity? Which particular method will give the most accurate effective porosity? Give your answer, guys. This is the most important one. Which particular method will give the most accurate effective porosity? As we have discussed in the previous class, most effective porosity, that is the accuracy, will be the helium porosity meter. Okay. Guys, the next question, which of the following method has the capability to get most inaccurate porosity? Which particular method will give the most inaccurate porosity? Taking everything into the consideration. Which particular experimental method is the most inaccurate method? Can anybody say yes? Which particular method is the most inaccurate method? No? No. Anybody? Not one. Amit. It is not one. Think properly, guys. See, basically, any particular core sample is highly heterogeneous. Okay, taking a single density for a particular matrix is wrong. Okay, so the rock density method is the most inaccurate method. Okay, in general, I'm talking in general. Okay. Guys, in a pyknometer method using mercury, which particular volume is measured? Bulk volume, pore volume, drain volume. Your answer, guys. In a mercury pyknometer method, which particular volume is generally measured? Give your answer, guys, everybody. Okay, using a mercury picrometer method, we will calculate the bulk volume. Whereas for a water picrometer method, we will calculate the grain volume. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the next one, guys. Method. I think everybody knows the Archimedes principle, the method that is based upon Archimedes principle. I think everybody knows it. It is Boyansky method. Okay, do remember it. For any particular numerical question in porosity, you need to use three format. Density is equal to mass by volume. Buoyancy force is equal to V rho G, and equating total number of moles. That's it. Do remember this, guys. For any numerical, you can use these three methods to calculate the porosity, equating the number of moles. Okay. Let's go to the next concept. Total porosity. Porosity. Ineffective porosity. Primary porosity. Secondary porosity. Porosity. Intergranular. Intragranular. Dissolution, fracture, work, Bergson, mold. Guys, let us consider three sets. Okay. The first question, guys, let us first discuss the set 1. Okay. First, let us discuss set 1. Okay. Out am audible to you. Guys, am I audible? Okay, let's go. Let us discuss in three sets. First, 2, 3. Guys, first let us discuss the questions in set 1. Okay. Which of the following porosity is also known as the induced porosity? Give your answer, guys. Induced porosity is secondary porosity. Good. Which of the following is also known as absolute porosity? Give your answer, guys. Which of the following is also known as the absolute porosity? It is one. Good, good. Which particular porosity is highly related to the carbonates in a reservoir? Which particular? It is the secondary porosity. Okay, this is actually a very, very good question, guys. The porosity that is formed due to cementation. Due to cementation, the porosity is decreased. Okay, the decreased porosity is known as, the decreased porosity will come under which type of porosity? Primary or secondary? For a particular reservoir, cementation has taken place and the porosity has been decreased. Okay, that right now the decreased porosity comes under which type of porosity? It comes under the secondary porosity. Do remember it. It's a geological process, but it is a mechanical one. Okay. Okay. Now let us discuss the second one, guys. First one is very easy. Now let us discuss the second set. Micro, intergranular or intragranulars. See, the porosity that is present between three different grains, between the grains is called which porosity? The porosity that is present between the grains is called which porosity? Between the grains of a reservoir is called which porosity? No, it is intergranular porosity. Intercollege between two colleges, intergranular between two grains. Okay, the porosity that is due to the pore spaces that are present inside the grains are called. The porosity that is present due to the pore spaces inside the grains are called. Right now the answer will be the intragranular porosity. Okay. Next one, guys. Which are the following in the second set? The porosity that is related to the pores which are having a size of less than 2 micrometer is called. It's an easy one. Pores less than 2 micrometer, or we can say a conjugate pores. The pores that are present inside the first pores are called the microporosity. Good. See guys, microporosity is also known as conjugate porosity because the pores that are present in the micropores are inside of another pore. Okay, that is the second set. Guys, generally sandstone or carbonate, intergranular porosity and intragranular porosity are present in which type of formation? Carbonates or sandstone? Your answer, guys. Everybody do give your answer. It is sandstone. Between two grains is sandstone. Okay. Next is which, guys, let us come to the third set. Which particular porosity is due to algal matter? In the third set, which particular porosity is due to algal matter? Algal matter or biological substance. It's a very important one. Okay. See guys, the porosity that is present due to the disintegration of the algal matter is bird's eye porosity. Other name for the bird's eye porosity is fenestral porosity. Fenestral porosity. Okay, guys, the porosity that is due to the disintegration of the fossils such as dinosaurs or animals. Okay, in a particular pore, the fossils that are present in that particular pore has been disintegrated and the pore spaces has been retained. Okay, the porosity related to that particular pore space is called which porosity? You need to remember it. It's moldic porosity. Generally, guys, moldic porosity is seen in which formation? Sandstone or carbonates? The bird's I porosity and moldic porosity are generally present in carbonates. Okay, I think everybody know what is a dissolution porosity or fracture porosity. When any particular fluid disintegrates, any rock matrix where pore spaces has been formed is called dissolution porosity. If a rock is fractured, the porosity that is related to that rock is called fracture porosity. Okay. So these are the things that we have covered in the previous class, guys. So before going into that, guys, between 14, 15 and 16, which has the least effective porosity? Least effective porosity. You need to remember the order of different formations. Order of different formations. Shale has high porous, but most of the particular pores are isolated. Okay, when you are talking about effective porosity, shale is the least, then comes carbonates, then comes sandstone. Okay. That's it, guys. These are the main things that we have covered in the previous classes. Okay. Guys, today we will start a new topic, that is permeability. Okay. Write down the new concept, permeability. Guys, see, yesterday I have given you an assignment to complete the exercises in Abhijit Dandekar. So we will discuss these particular exercises of Abhijit Dandekar in tomorrow's class. So by that particular class, try to do those questions on your own. Okay, once try to do it questions. If you have any doubts, we will discuss those in the tomorrow's class. And a test on porosity will be on Tuesday. That is 20th April. Okay, the paper will be tough, guys. Again, I am saying this particular paper will be tough. See, generally majority of students will think the porosity is a very easy chapter. Okay, but on this particular test, the questions will be framed in such a way you will feel somewhat difficulty. So before attending this test, you need to complete the exercises in Abhijit Dandekar, Farah Ahmed, Zolotin also. Zolotin we will discuss day after tomorrow. Okay, not tomorrow, day after tomorrow. But for tomorrow, try to complete Abhijit Dandekar. Okay. So we will have an exam on porosity on Tuesday, April 20th. So do prepare well for this test, guys. You study from your notes. Okay. And study different books. Okay. Gather different knowledge regarding the porosity for that particular exam. Okay. Study as many books as possible. Okay. For porosity. Okay. Let us start new chapter, that is permeability. Okay. First write it, guys. We will start permeability. First write it, guys. Okay. So write it carefully, guys. We will discuss this. So the next topic is permeability. This is somewhat difficult. Okay, this is a somewhat difficult topic when compared with porosity, and it will take almost 4 to 5 classes, guys. Permeability will take almost 4 to 5 classes. So let's go slowly. Okay, even if you have this slightest doubt, ask me. I will repeat that particular concept again if you want. Okay, so let us start. So the next rock property, the next rock property that we are discussing is permeability. Okay, which is denoted by K. Okay, as you already know this, guys, permeability is a rock property. Again I am saying rock property, not fluid. It is a rock property, and it is generally defined as the ability of a rock to allow fluid to pass through it. It is the ability of a rock to allow the fluid to pass through it. And for a particular rock, the permeability is directly proportional to the effective porosities. That means as the effective porosity of a rock increases, the ability of that particular rock to flow more fluid will increase. Okay, this particular permeability depends upon the number of connected pores. It depends upon the number of connected pores. As the isolated pores increases or decreases, the permeability of the rock does not change. Do remember it. If the number of connected pores increases, the permeability will increase because more flow paths are present. These particular connected pores are also known as flow path. So as the number of connected pores increases, the number of flow paths are also increasing. So as the number of flow paths are increasing, that particular rock will allow more fluid to flow through it. Okay. So this is how a permeability is defined. This is how a permeability is defined, and the permeability is a dynamic property. Okay, when compared with porosity is number of pore spaces. Okay, it does not care whether the fluid is flowing or not. The porosity will not change. Okay, this particular permeability is a dynamic property. It is where the fluid will be flowing through that particular rock. Okay. So these are the definition of permeability. So do remember it. Let us go. So write it, guys. It is a measure. The unit of this particular permeability is Darcy. It is denoted by K. Okay. So write it. This particular permeability is a flow property, or also known as the dynamic property. So first write it. We will discuss it. Okay. Take your time, guys. Write down these notes. The notes is very, very important. Okay. Is it computed, guys? See, permeability, as I told you, it is a flow property. That means it is allowing the fluid to flow through it. So it is a dynamic property. That is, okay, this particular permeability is calculated by conducting flow experiment through that particular rock. Okay, and you need to remember it is a rock property and it is a directional property. And this particular permeability comes under tensor quantity. That means it's like a vector, stator, and a tensor. Okay, this particular permeability comes under the tensor quantity. Okay, so let us discuss this, guys. See, as I told you, permeability is the ability of the rock to allow fluid to pass through it. Okay, let us consider this is the rock. Okay, each direction has a unique permeability. Okay, each particular direction has a unique permeability. Okay, and unlike, see, in a vector, consider this is A bar and B bar. We can say a net, this is a C bar. Okay, for a particular rock, we cannot say as a whole, as a whole permeability. See, for a particular rock, we can say the porosity for the whole rock is this much, 30% or 20%. Similarly, for a particular rock, we cannot say permeability is 20 millirc or 50 millirc. We need to specify the direction of that particular one. Okay, and it does not follow the addition of vectors also. Okay, this particular permeability is a tensor. Okay, and it is a directional property. That means each particular direction has a unique permeability. And because it is a directional property, in general, for majority of rocks, consider this is a rock system. This is the horizontal permeability and this is the vertical permeability. In general, for majority of rock systems, the horizontal permeability is greater than vertical permeability. Let me explain why, guys. See, as we have already discussed, any particular rock system is formed by transportation of the sand grains from high region to the low region. Okay, once this particular sand grains has been deposited at the low region, sedimentation occurs. That means more and more rock grains will accumulate on top of each other. Okay, as this particular rock grains goes below the subsurface, that is into the formation or into the earth, each rock grain will experience a unique overburden pressure. Okay, each particular rock grain which is spherical in shape is experiencing a unique overburden pressure. Due to this particular overburden pressure, this perfect spherical grain which is formed due to the transportation of the grains from high region to the low region right now will decrease its, the sphericity will be decreased. Okay, let me explain this again, guys. See, when these particular rock grains are moving, the roundness is decreasing from high region to low region. When the rock grains are moving from high region to low region, the roundness is increasing. When the sedimentation is happening, that is, when the rock grains are moving from the top to bottom, that is deeper into the formation, the sphericity is decreasing. Okay. What do you mean by this? Roundness is increasing, sorry. That means it is becoming from angular to rounded. Okay. Due to its transportation, all the angular edges is right now becoming smooth. Okay. Because the sphericity is decreasing, all the grains at the bottom will be like this. Okay, thus decreasing the porosity. And not only that, if you can see here, these particular grains which are flat will not allow the fluid to move up. Okay, will not allow the fluid to move up, thus decreasing the vertical permeability. The vertical permeability is being decreased as the rock grains are moving from top to the bottom, that is into the formation, whereas the horizontal permeability not much is being affected for the horizontal permeability. Okay, due to the decrease in sphericity of the grains, the vertical permeability is being decreased, and that is the reason for majority of the rock systems the horizontal permeability is greater than the vertical permeability. Okay, this particular one is known as the, each particular rock system is known as the bedding plane. And do remember it, guys, when this particular bedding plane is like this, consider this is surface, this will be the bedding plane. Right now the horizontal permeability will be this, the vertical permeability will be this. Okay, do remember it. This is wrong, this is correct. Okay, we need to see along the bedding plane. Okay, not an absolute vertical and not an absolute horizontal. We are seeing with respect to the bedding plane in which the rock grains has been aligned themselves. Okay. Okay. So do write it, guys. Apart from the rock grains, decrease in sphericity, due to the overburden pressure, majority of sandstones will be converted to shale. Okay, thus decreasing the effective porosity. Okay, that means consider this is sandstone. Okay, due to the overburden pressure, that one part of the sandstone will become shale. Okay, and other part will have other sandstone. Due to this particular shale lamination, no fluid can move from this particular bedding plane 1 to 2. The movement from this to this is not present due to the presence of the shale lamination. This is the another reason for further decrease in the vertical permeability in a particular bedding plane. Okay. So do write it, guys. Up to now, do anybody have any doubts? Write the notes. The notes is very, very important. Okay. And not only in sandstones, even in guys, in carbonates, the majority of, see, in carbonates we don't have the granular system. We have a crystal system. Okay. In the carbonates, the vertical permeability will be reduced due to the shale also. Okay. Mainly due to shale. Okay. If you can see here, this is the rock system. Due to the presence of the effective pores inside this particular rock system, it is allowing the fluid, that is we are pouring, to flow through it. Okay, the phase, or see, as the permeability increases, the time for the water to flow through the particular one, to flow through the particular rock system will decrease. Okay, this is how we can visualize the permeability. Okay, guys, for a rock to have a very good permeability, you need to have a very good connected pores. Okay, see, You can see here, these particular, in the second system, the connected pores are very, very, very good. Okay, the pores are well connected. So this particular rock system has good permeability. If we consider this in the first system, okay, cement is present in the pore spaces. Due to the presence of cement in these particular pore spaces, it is not allowing the fluid to pass through it. Okay, the cement blocks the pores. So the pores are not well connected. So this particular system has a poor permeability. Okay, and you need to remember this. This is very, very important. Guys, consider we have taken a rock. Okay, using water, we found the permeable to be K1. Using oil, we found to the permeable to be K2. We are assuming we are using the whole water or whole oil or whole another fluid one. Consider it to be paraffin or paraffin oil or any other thing. Okay, because this particular permeability is a rock property. For when even though we are changing the fluids, the permeability that we will calculate with each fluid must be equal. That is K1 is equal to K2 is equal to K3. This is a very, very important point. Just because we are changing the fluids, the rock permeability will not change. The rock permeability is absolute. For any particular rock system, the permeability will be same even though we are changing the fluid. Okay, when we are sending a 100% saturated fluid for any particular rock, the permeability will be same. Okay, don't worry guys, you will understand the permeability more clearly in the next classes. So we will discuss one by one. So do write down this one. Do draw this diagram. We are going from the very basic to the advanced of permeability. We will discuss several things. How to find permeability in horizontal bedding planes, in inclined bedding planes, okay, in vertical bedding planes, when two fluids are flowing, the experimental methods. Okay, we will find the permeability for different channels or for different rocks, fractures, the fracture permeability, capillary permeability. We will discuss each and everything. Okay, so let us go from the basics. First, try to understand the definition of permeability. Okay, let's start with the basics, guys. How the permeability is discovered. Okay, so before permeability, which particular variable have the engineers been using? That is also an important one. So first we will start from where the permeability has been discovered. It is discovered by a man named Henry Darcy. He did not directly discover the permeability, guys. He discovered a particular variable known as hydraulic conductivity. Okay, we will discuss it. First write it. First write down the theory for the experiment. Okay, so first the hint, we will start with the discovery of the permeability. So the rock property permeability, we can say it has been discovered by Darcy. Okay, this particular French hydraulic engineer, what he have done was, he have taken a vertical, he has taken a vertical table or vertical cylinder in which he has placed sand in between them. Okay, in this particular middle he has placed the sand. Okay, and he has used barometers. to find the pressure at either end of this particular sand system. These are barometers to find the pressure at either end of the barometers. He has conducted this particular experiment to determine the rate of flow of water through this particular sand filter. Okay, so what he have done was he has taken a certain amount of volume of water and poured from the top. Okay, and he measured the volume of water that is flowing through this particular tank over a fixed period of time. That is, he is trying to calculate flow rate. He is trying to calculate the flow rate. This particular experiment is done by Darcy. He used water, okay, to find how much time it is taking for the water to flow over a period of time. Okay, guys, do draw this one. Based on this particular diagram, questions can be given or questions can be framed. You will understand it why. Okay. See guys, at point 3, the pressure will be P atmosphere plus density of water into G into H3. At density and pressure at point 4, the pressure is P atmosphere plus density of water into G into H4. Okay. So first write down this one, guys. See, based on a particular experiment, he is pouring water into the sand filters, and he found out that the consider this is the cylinder, this is the sand filter, and A is the area of the sand filter, L is the length of the sand filter, this is Q. He found out that the amount of fluid that it is passing through the sand system Q, it is directly proportional to area for a fixed amount of time. And he found out that as using certain principles, this particular flow rate is also directly proportional to the pressure difference. As the pressure difference is changing or increasing, the flow rate is also increasing. He found out that the flow rate is directly proportional to area and the pressure difference between the sand system, that is the delta P, and it is inversely proportional to L. Okay, based on the Darcy experiment, he found this particular expression. Okay, from this particular expression, that is Q is equal to capital K star, let us it call K star is the constant, A delta P divided by L. Okay, he defined this particular variable K star as hydraulic conductivity, and he found out that this particular hydraulic conductivity is a function of both rock and the fluid, and this particular hydraulic conductivity is changing, okay, as the fluid is changing. So guys, before we go to the next one, just write it. He found out that he directly didn't find the permeability. He found the first variable, that is hydraulic conductivity, that is capital K. Let us call it K star. Okay, for easy representation, call it K star. But guys, do write it. Okay. He defined the term K star. Okay, you need to remember this particular investigation that has been done by the Henry Darcy is highly restricted to the flow of water. He used only water through the sandbags. Okay, that particular sandbags are 100% saturated with water only. Okay, and he defined K star, which is right now, which is equal to the actual permeability of the rock, K by mu, also known as mobility. Also known as mobility. After that particular experiment, several other investigators found out that that particular hydraulic conductivity can be further expressed as K by mu, that is mobility. Okay, so the final expression Q is equal to minus K by mu, area dP by dl, has been defined as Darcy's law. As defined as Darcy's law. Okay. So guys, generally, okay, first write down this one. Write down this one. From this particular point onwards, it is important. So write down this. A negative sign is incorporated in the equation because the pressure decreases with respect to the length of the core sample. We will discuss it. First, write it. Do write it, guys. Do write it in your notes. Do write it in your notes. Okay, guys. So let me explain this. Darcy's law. Darcy's law. So we found out that Q by A is equal to minus K by mu dP by dl. This is defined as the Darcy's law. And remember this. This particular negative sign is not always present. It depends upon the type of situation. Depends on situation. Let me explain this, guys. See, basically, dP by dl. Okay, that means as the length increases, if the pressure increase, okay, we don't have to place the negative sign here. But in majority of cases, what happens is as the length increases, the pressure will decrease. This particular one, see, this dP by dl is related to the point of view or the reference point. Okay, let me explain this. See, let us take a rectangular point. Okay, generally in a rectangular one, we will just take the left hand side as the reference line. Okay, if you can see here, this is the length here is equal to 0. Here length is equal to capital L by 2. This is L. That means as we are moving from left to right, the length is increasing. And let us consider the flow is happening like this. The flow is happening like this. From left to right. That means the pressure at the first point is high when compared with 2. That is P1 is greater than P2. That means as the length is increasing, the pressure is decreasing. So in this particular scenario, because the length is increasing and the pressure is decreasing, dP by dl will be negative. Okay, if you find dp by dl for this particular one, we will get it negative. To compensate for that particular negative, because Q, the flow rate, area, permeability and viscosity all are positive variables. A negative sign cannot be attributed to these particular four variables. So that is the reason we are placing the negative sign in this particular scenario. Q by A is equal to minus K by mu dou P by dou L in this particular scenario. Let me give another scenario, guys. Consider the same. Consider the same. Right now we are taking this particular L is 0. This is L is equal to L by 2. This is a capital L. Okay. And the flow is happening like this. Okay. We are measuring the pressure from here. This is P2. Sorry. This is P2 and this is P1. Because it is flowing from right to left, we know that P1 is greater than P2. And if you can see here from the reference point, as the length is increasing, the pressure is also increasing. So in this particular scenario, we don't have to use the negative sign. Okay. The most best example where we do not use the negative sign is in reservoir, a particular well. Consider a well. Okay. Consider a well. The fluid are flowing throughout this to this particular well. Okay, that means this particular P1, and so this is P2. P1 is greater than P2, and we are measuring from this particular end. So as the length increases, the pressure is increasing. So in any particular well, because we are using the reference point as the well, we don't have to use the negative sign. So based upon the conditions or the scenarios, you need to use the negative sign. This is very, very, very important. Do remember it. Okay, we are the main reason for placing the negative sign is the differential. Okay, the differential, the equation that is present here. Okay, do anybody have any doubts, guys? Up to now. Up to now, do anybody have any doubts at all? If you want, I will repeat that any particular concept to you. Okay, during the class only you need to be able to understand the majority of concepts. Okay, so as per this particular one, Darcy's equation is given by this particular formula. Okay, so do write it, guys. So do write it. Okay. So write down this one. Darcy's law or Darcy's equation. So do remember it, guys. See, guys, every particular variable in this particular case, you can assume it to be in CGS units. Okay. Okay. We'll discuss this. Okay. Next are the Darcy's law assumptions. See guys, as I told you to have 3 books: class notes, numerical notes and theoretical notes. In the theoretical notes, have a separate section for all the assumptions. Okay, write these particular assumptions in your class notes. After the class, write it in your, see, have a separate section for all the assumptions. Okay, from now onwards we will have Darcy's law. Okay, you need to remember the assumptions for decline curve analysis and several other laws also. Bernoulli's theorem, such type several laws will come. So you need to remember assumptions for all those things. So have a separate section for assumptions. After the class, write these particular assumptions in the theoretical notes. Okay, so first write down the main assumptions of the Darcy's law. So for this particular Darcy equation, to give more accurate results, we need to follow these assumptions, or we need to assume these particular ones. Okay. So first write it, we will discuss each and everything. Darcy's law assumption. Write down the assumptions, guys. After the class, write it in your theoretical notes. Have a separate section for the assumptions. Okay, so it will be easy for you to revise it. Okay. Let me start, guys. So first, Darcy's law assumption. So while applying this equation, that is Q by A is equal to K by mu into delta P by L, we need to make sure any particular core plug that we are using is 100% saturated with the same fluid. To calculate the permeability, we need to make sure that all the fluid that we are using is same and uniform. Next, this particular fluid that is flowing through the core sample must be incompressible. That means its density must not change with pressure. Okay, or its volume must not change with pressure. So this particular flowing fluid must be incompressible. Okay, and the way in which this particular core sample is to be placed is horizontal. Okay, the flow that is happening through this particular core sample must be in a horizontal state, and it must be a steady state. That means the amount of fluid that is entering the core sample must be equal to the amount of fluid that is exiting the core sample. Okay, and okay, let me explain this very carefully. Consider this is the core sample, guys. Okay, so fluid that we are using must be 100% saturated with the formation. That means no pore space must be left out. Okay, it must 100% saturated with the same fluid. Okay, second one, this particular 100% saturated. Next one, we need to make sure that, because at this particular point the pressure will be high, this is the pressure will be low. Due to the change in pressure, the fluid properties must not change. Okay, so we need to make sure that the fluid is incompressible. And this particular experiment must be done in a horizontal way. That means, and the flow regime that should be present inside the core sample is laminar. That means all the flow path must be parallel with each other. And not only that, the mass in must be equal to the mass out, that is a steady state. Okay, that is a steady state. Horizontal also. Horizontal flow. Next one. Okay, we need to make sure no other viscous regime, no other regime is present in that particular pore system. That means the flow of fluid is mainly due to the pressure difference, not due to any other thing. So we need to make sure that it is mainly due to the viscous regime. Okay, and the last and final one is this particular fluid must not react with the rock matrix of the core sample. Okay, where if it reacts, the permeability of the rock will change with time, which we do not want. So these are the main important assumptions of the Darcy law. You need to make sure all these conditions are followed to give accurate results. Okay, using Darcy law. Okay guys, do write it carefully. Do anybody have any doubts? If you want, I will repeat any particular point if you want. Guys, did you understand this particular point? Viscous regime. Majority of students will get doubt here. See, basically there are three types. Coning. One is the capillary regime, viscous regime, and gravity. Okay, we need to make sure that no extra capillary pressure is present inside the core sample. Okay, and we need to make sure the gravity is not playing any effect on this particular flow also. Okay, three flow regimes are generally present: viscous, gravity, and capillary. Okay, by making sure it is horizontal, purely horizontal, we can eliminate the gravity. By making sure only one phase is present inside the core sample, we can eliminate the capillary regime. Okay, so this is also an important one. So the next one is the definition of Darcy. So guys, first write down up to here. See guys, if you remember poise is the unit of viscosity. It is defined at CGS units. It is defined for CGS units, that is stress by strain, which is pressure per second inverse. Both the units are in CGS. That is how the poise is defined. Similarly, the Darcy is defined as CGS units. The Darcy is defined as the CGS units. So K is equal to, K is Darcy, Q is in centimeter cube per second, and centipoise, viscosity of viscosity, length is in centimeter, 1 centimeter square is area, atmosphere is unit of pressure. So this is how Darcy is defined. Okay, a unit Darcy is defined as the permeability of the formation to permit 1 centipoise viscosity through a 1 centimeter cube per second through a cross-sectional area of 1 centimeter square when the pressure gradient is in atmosphere per centimeter. All the units are in CGS, similar to poise. Okay. If you guys, shall we derive it? How this particular formulas came? Shall we derive it or shall we just skip it? First, write down this one, guys. We will discuss it. If you don't remember this, you can just remember it like this. As I told you, the Darcy variable is defined at CGS units by taking all the variables as 1. Okay, from that particular point, you can derive it using the conversions if you want. Okay. Okay, guys. Okay, guys, shall we start? See how this particular one came. As I told you, Darcy is defined for CGS units when all the variables are taken as 1. So K is equal to A mu L divided by A delta P. See, we are taking K is 1 Darcy, 1 centimeter cube per second. This is 1 centipoise, length is 1 centimeter, area is centimeter square, delta P is in atmosphere. Okay, if you can see here, the final one we are getting is 1 centipoise into centimeter square divided by atmosphere second. We just need to convert 1 centimeter is equal to dash atmosphere second. That's it. See guys, 1 poise 1 dyne second per centimeter square. So 100 centipoise is equal to 1 dyne second per centimeter square. That is equal to 1 centipoise means 10 to the power minus 2 dyne per centimeter square dot second. Okay, you need to convert dyne per centimeter square to atmosphere. So first it is best to convert it into pascals. From there you can convert it into atmosphere. See guys, I think you already know this, but still let us 1 Newton per meter square, 1 dyne per centimeter square, kg meter per second square to meter square, gram centimeter per second square into centimeter square. Okay. So you just convert it, 1000 grams divided by 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. So this will be 100 second square centimeter. So that 1 Newton per meter square is equal to 10 dyne centimeter square. 10 dyne centimeter square. So Newton per meter square is 1 Pascal is equal to 10 dyne per centimeter square. We know that 1 atmosphere is equal to 10 to the power 5 pascals. So 1 Pascal is equal to 10 to the power 5 atmosphere. So 10 to the power 5 atmosphere is equal to 10 dyne per centimeter square. So that is 1 dyne per centimeter square is equal to 10 to the power, wait a minute, 10 to the power minus 5. So this will be 10 to the power minus 2 into 10 to the power minus 6 atmosphere second. 10 to the power minus 8 atmosphere second. The final answer will be 1 Darcy is equal to 10 to the power minus 8 atmospheres are 10 centimeters square. Okay. So 1 Darcy is equal to 10 into 9 point, that is almost 10 power minus 8 centimeter square. Okay guys, so you just need to know the basic understanding how the particular Darcy is defined. So using the conversions that I taught you in the first class, you can able to solve any particular numerical. You can convert any unit to any other thing. Even if you forgot this particular the formula 1 millidarcy is equal to 10 to the power minus 15 meters square, which is easy to remember. You can derive it from the definition of Darcy. Guys, do derive it once in your notes. Do derive it once in your notes using the conversions I have taught you. Okay. So 1 Darcy is equal to 10 to the power 8 minus 8 centimeter square. If you convert it to meter square, we will get 10 to the power minus 12. So instead of that, guys, because 1 Darcy, which is a very high permeability when compared with the normal reservoirs, the definition of 1 Darcy is very high. So in general, in majority of calculations, we use millidarcy. So 1 millidarcy is equal to 10 to the power minus 15 meter square. The dimensions of the permeability is length square. Okay. So do write it and try to remember this one. I have given you this particular millidarcy formula in the unit conversions also. Okay. Do anybody have any doubts guys up to now? Do derive this. 1 Darcy is equal to 10 to the power minus 8 centimeters. Do derive it in your free time. Okay. Do anybody have any doubts up to now? So write down the definition of Darcy's equation in CGS units. K is in Darcy. Okay, I think we have already remembered it. So just write down the Darcy equation in CGS units. Okay, write it carefully guys. So you just need to remember the formula, that's it. I think majority of students know already the units of Darcy. Okay. The units of CGS. The units under CGS for each particular variable. Q is centimeter cube per second. K is Darcy. Viscosity is in centipoise. Area is in centimeter square. Pressure is in atmosphere. Length is in centimeter. Okay. The next one, write down the Darcy's equation in field units. Guys, this is your homework. See, what I want you to do is, see, we generally define it Q by A is equal to K by mu delta P by delta L, which is in CGS units. You know each. So we don't have to use the unit converter here. Sorry, the conversion factor here. So what I need to do is change each particular variable to field units. That is, for flow rate, change from cc per second to barrel per day. From area centimeter square to feet square. And for permeability, change it from Darcy to millidarcy. Viscosity it is centipoise only, so don't need to change it. Whereas for delta P, we need to change it from atmosphere to PSI. For length, centimeter to feet. And find the conversion factor. and it must be equal to 0.001127. Okay, this is your homework, guys. Leave one particular page. Leave one particular page for this and do it. Once do it in your rough notes and see whether the answer is coming or not. Okay, once you got the answer, write it clarity and neatly in your class notes. Okay, this is your homework. And if you have any doubts, we will discuss this particular how to get this unit the conversion factor tomorrow. Okay, for now this is your homework. So do write it. Write down this equation clarity in field units. Okay. So do write it carefully, guys, and derive it. Okay, derive it. If you are not getting the answer, you can contact me via phone call also. Okay, send me the photo of your solution and I will check it if you want. But do try it yourself. You need to do the unit conversion yourself. So do write it, guys. Okay. This is your homework. Leave one particular page for the derivation of the conversion factor. Okay, first try it in a rough notes. After that, if you get the correct answer, copy it in your class notes. So do this question, guys. First, you do this particular question and give me the answer. Write down the question carefully and give me the answer. It's a very easy one. See whether all the units are in CGS or field units or in SI. Majority we will consider CGS or field. That's it. See, SI units are not much used, but we will discuss it also. First, write it. Write down the question and give me the answer, guys. Give me your answer, guys. Okay. It's a very easy question, guys. If you can see here, we need to find the absolute permeability of a core plug. A core sample has been given, which is having a length of 4 centimeter. The area of cross section is 3 centimeters square. The viscosity of the brine that is used to flow through that particular core sample is 1 centipoise, and it is flowing at a flow rate of 0.5 centimeter cube per second, and the pressure difference is 2 atmosphere. If you can see, everything is in CGS units, so you can directly apply the formula K by mu delta P divided by delta L, where Q is in 0.5, area is in centimeter square 3, where permeability will be in Darcy, viscosity is 1, delta P is 2, length is 4. So the answer will be K is equal to 0.333 Darcy. 0.333 Darcy, that is K is equal to 1 by 3 Darcy. Okay, it's a very easy question, guys. So write down the next one. Okay. So let's go to the next concept, guys. That is the types of permeability. With this particular concept, we will stop the class. Okay. With this particular class, we will stop it. So do write it. Types of permeability. Types of permeability. So generally a particular permeability will depend upon several factors, be it size, shape, tortuosity and the number of pores in a particular porous medium. Size, shape, tortuosity and the number of channels in a particular porous medium. See guys, if in a particular rock system, if the size of each channel increases, if the size increases, what happens is the permeability will increase. Okay, next is the shape. Shape is nothing but tortuosity, the way this particular pore channel is present. Tortuosity is defined as the LA by L, actual length by the original length, the total L. Okay. The tortuosity will increases as the shape, deviates from a straight line. Okay, as it becomes more angular. Okay, this particular permeability, suppose the tortuosity increases, as the tortuosity increases, the permeability will decrease because it takes more time to travel from one point to another point. Okay, so the tortuosity will also influence the permeability in a rock system, and the number of channels, as the number of channels increases, automatically the permeability increases because it can take more fluid at the same time. Okay, mainly these three factors, size of a pore channel, tortuosity of that particular pore channel and the number of pore channels that are present in a rock will influence the permeability in a rock system. Do write it. Size increases, size of the channel increases, permeability will increase. Tortuosity increases, permeability will decrease. The number of channels increases, permeability will increase. So as per these particular criteria, there are three types of permeability that has been defined: absolute permeability, effective permeability and relative permeability. Okay. So first let us write it. The first one is the absolute permeability. So first write it, guys. So up to now, the things that we have discussed is for the absolute permeability only. Okay, up to now the things that we have discussed is for the absolute permeability only. So first write it down. The absolute permeability is defined as the permeability of the porous medium. It is the total permeability of the porous medium when a single fluid is passing through it. Okay. Absolute permeability does not depend on the type of fluids. Absolute permeability does not depend upon the type of fluids. If a single fluid is flowing through it, the absolute permeability is calculated. and this particular permeability is the maximum permeability of that particular system also. Okay, and it is calculated from a Darcy's law, where a single flow is happening through the rock system. Okay, up to now all the things that we have discussed is for absolute permeability. Okay guys, let's go to the next one. Write it carefully. The second one is the effective permeability. Effective permeability. Okay. See, this particular permeability is similar to hydraulic conductivity that we have defined. Each effective permeability depends upon the fluid also. It depends upon the fluid also. Okay, guys, first write it, we will discuss it. First write it, we will discuss it. Okay. So how can we define the effective permeability of a rock? And do remember it guys, effective permeability is related to the type of fluid also. And this particular effective permeability will come into play when more than two fluids or more than one fluid is flowing through your rock system. Okay, so first write it, we will discuss it. So guys, let me explain this. See, let us take a rock sample. Okay. Generally, we use single fluid, be it oil or water or any particular paraffin fluid or even gas. Generally, the permeability will be, the total permeability will be same, 100% in all the cases if you are using only a single fluid, because this particular permeability is for a particular rock. It is defined for a particular rock. Okay. The effective permeability, let us come here. Right now, effective permeability is defined with respect to the fluid. That means consider two fluids are flowing through the system. Consider oil and water are flowing through the system. Okay. So what happens was each fluid will have different permeabilities. That means each particular rock will not allow both the fluids to travel at the same rate. Even if you are seeing 50% and 50% oil and 50% water, each will not travel at the same rate. Each particular fluid will have different permeabilities. Permeability of oil and permeability of water. Each particular fluid will have different permeabilities. Okay. And K0 plus Kw will not be equal to the total permeability. It will be less than it. It is the less than the absolute permeability, that is K. So what happens was, okay, when two fluids are flowing through the rock systems, several factors will come into play. See, right now two fluids are present. As per the Darcy's law, assumptions. Right now, the core is not, this particular one is not satisfying. Okay. And this particular, only the viscous regime is right now not present. Even the capillary regime comes into play right now. Okay. So two of the assumptions has been nullified or it has been broken. So the direct application of the Darcy's law for the whole formation is will give us inaccurate answers. Okay, so the direct application of the Darcy's law for the whole formation when two fluids are flowing will give us inaccurate answers. So what we will be doing is, that is why the effective permeability is defined. We will separate both the fluids in the formation. We will assume the oil is flowing at one rate and the water is flowing at another rate through the same formation. And to find the flow rate of that particular one, the flow rate, we will, when you are assuming for a single fluid, this particular permeability, that is, this particular effective permeability is defined, that is Q naught divided by A divided by viscosity of oil, delta P by delta L. This is how the effective permeability of oil has been defined. Similarly, QW divided by A, KW divided by UW, delta P divided by delta L. This is how the effective permeability of water has been defined. Okay, and each particular permeability, that is K naught or KW, is less than the total absolute permeability. Okay, so each effective permeability is a function of the geometry of the pores of the rock, that is absolute permeability. Next is the rock wetting characteristics. As I told you, when two fluids comes into play, the capillary pressure, we will discuss it, that is the wettability of the rock will comes into play. So that particular viscous regime will also affect the effective permeability. And as the saturation increases or decreases, the wettability nature of the rock will also change the flowing mechanism. So that particular one also will affect the effective permeability. Guys, these two we will study the effect of rock wetting characteristics and fluid saturation after completion of the saturation chapter. Okay. So for now, just try to understand it as much as possible. Okay. So let me explain it guys. See, basically wettability. We will study it more clearly in the next chapters. Wettability is, it is a property of the rock to attract a single fluid towards it when compared with the other. Consider this. Wettability will come into play when two fluids are present near it. Okay. Consider this particular rock. Consider it is having oil and water inside it. Okay. Consider this particular rock. It is having oil and water inside it. And what happened was, all the water particles has been attracted towards the rock when compared with oil. So all the water particles has been formed a layer on top of the rock. That means the rock is preferring water particles when compared with the oil particles. That means if you place this particular rock here and if you place this same size and shape of a oil and if you place a water, this particular rock will attract the water towards it and this particular rock will push the oil away from it. Okay, in this particular scenario we will say that the rock is water wetting. That means the rock has the ability to attract the water towards it. Okay, we can say this particular rock has the oil non-wetting. That means that particular rock is pushing away the oil from it. That means the forces that are present between the rock and the water is a dispersive force. It is not attractive force. It is pushing away each other. Repulsive force. Okay. This is attractive. This is repulsive. So what happens was, If you send 50% oil and 50% water into the system, okay, water will get, because every particular rock is water weight, the water will get accumulated on top of the grains. Okay, and the water will move to the, or the oil will move to the larger pore spaces. Oil will move to the larger pore spaces. So at the end, we will get more oil and less water. Okay, this is the way in which the wettability of the rock is affecting the effective permeability of a formation. Okay, don't worry guys, we will discuss it more clarity in the next classes. Just try to understand as much as possible. Next is the saturation changes. If you send 15% water and 80% oil, no water will come out because the 15% water will get accumulated on top of the rock. Only 100% oil will be coming from the other end. Okay, we will discuss it. There is a graph for that. We will discuss it one by one. So we can calculate the effective permeability of oil, water or gas using these particular formulas in field units. Okay, so do write it guys. So do write these particular three formulas. This is how we will calculate the effective permeability. Okay, there is more to understanding of the effective permeability. We will do it in the next classes. For now, try to understand the difference between absolute and effective. Effective comes into play when there are more than one fluid in the system, because the viscous, there won't be not only viscous regime, the capillary regime also will come into play. Okay. So do write it. Do write it. That is 0.0027 guys. Write it like this only. So you will remember it easily. Okay, everything in field units. We will discuss the effect of wettability and saturation on the effective permeability after completing the saturation chapter. Okay, there are something that you need to know before doing that. Okay, the third one is the relative permeability. It's an easy one. So just write it. It is defined as the ratio of effective permeability to the total permeability or absolute permeability. So just write it. Okay. So how do relative permeability is defined? Relative permeability is defined for each particular fluid. Relative oil permeability, relative water permeability, relative gas permeability. Okay, relative oil permeability is defined as the ratio of effective permeability of the oil to the absolute permeability. Relative permeability of water is defined as the ratio of effective permeability of water to the absolute permeability. Relative permeability of gas is defined as the effective permeability of gas to the absolute permeability. Okay, and do remember the units of relative permeability is nil. It does not have any unit, that is dimensionless. See, the main reason for defining the relative permeability is using experimental methods. The calculation of effective permeability is very difficult and almost impossible. Okay, So what we will do is we will use in the experimental methods, we will calculate relative permeability. So using relative permeability, we will calculate the effective permeability. Okay. The main reason for defining relative permeability is to use it in the experimental methods. We cannot directly measure the effective permeability. We will measure the relative permeability first. Using that particular relative permeability, we will calculate the effective permeability. Okay. Do remember this point. First, we will calculate absolute permeability. Next, we will calculate the relative permeability. After that, from the data from the absolute and relative, we will calculate the effective permeability. This is the order of experimental methods. The first one is absolute, the second one is relative, the third one is effective. This is a very important point, guys. Do remember it. Absolute, relative, and effective. Do write down these points also. Okay, and the relationship between the different permeabilities. Write down these four. The four permeability, that is K0 plus Kw plus Kg is less than or equal to K. Okay, if you send the permeability to the left hand side, 0 less than or equal to KRO plus KRW plus KRG is less than or equal to 1. And each relative permeability or water permeability or gas permeability will be less than or equal to K. Relative permeability will be less than or equal to 1. Okay, so do write it, guys. These are some relationship between different permeabilities. Okay. Next is Klinkenberg effect. Guys, we will stop here right now. Okay. We'll stop here right now. And for tomorrow, guys, for tomorrow's class, first complete the exercises in Abhijit Dandekar. Second, complete the homework that I have given you. Okay. We'll stop here. Complete this one. Okay, complete the unit conversion and all the questions in the Abhijit Dandekar book. We will discuss the questions of Abhijit Dandekar in the tomorrow's class. Okay. If you complete the guys, if you have already completed the Abhijit Dandekar, complete the questions in Zolotin. If you do not have the book, message me, I will send it to you. We will discuss the questions in Zolotin day after tomorrow. Okay. For tomorrow, we will discuss Abhijit Dandekar. That's it for today, guys. That's it for today. We'll stop the class right now. Up to now, do anybody have any doubts? Any doubts at all regarding porosity or up to now permeability? Tomorrow we will start with effective permeability. That is the Klinkenberg effect. Okay. Okay, guys. That's it. And guys, tomorrow is Sunday. So we will try to have a class in the morning. Morning 11 a.m. if possible. Okay. By today night I will post it in the group. Okay. For tomorrow morning class because tomorrow is Sunday. Okay. That's it for today's, guys. If anybody have any doubts at all, you can message me privately. Okay. That's it. Bye, guys. That's it for today. We will meet tomorrow at 11 a.m. Okay, and complete the assignment, complete your homework, and the third one is prepare for the examination on Tuesday. The paper will be tough, again I'm saying. So do prepare well, guys. That's it for today. Bye.